everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be the month of May 2022 horoscopes for all 12 signs. So as per the last couple videos, we're going to keep the same format. I'm going to talk to you about the transits that kind of catch my eye this month the most. There is about maybe 3 times the amount of transits that we're going to discuss today. These are just the most important ones. I'm going to talk about how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. We've got a very busy month. Planets are changing signs, a retrograde, and an eclipse. So do listen for all of your placements. I recommend listening for your ascendant, followed by your sun, and if you'd like, also your moon. And I'm going to touch base first on the transits, what they mean. But if you want more in-depth information, check out my May 2022 monthly address. I talk about all of the transits for the month and what I will be breaking down and getting deeper into archetypally and energetically throughout the month. So every Sunday morning, I put out an astro weather video. It's all about the transits for the week ahead, and we'll break it down as we get closer. Obviously, that monthly overview is helpful for general energies, but some people just want to know what their horoscope is, so this is for you. Do me a favor, if you have not already, please do consider subscribing to my channel by leaving me a thumbs up or even a fancy comment, something. It allows the algorithm to kind of pick up my videos. We've seen a lot of traction. We're having a lot of new viewers on my channel who have never seen my channel before. So those of you guys who are new, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for stopping by. Let's talk about what the month of May has in store for all of you. So this will be May 2022 horoscopes for all 12 signs. Well, transits that catch my eye, other than that cute little cow that I had to put in the corner. I had to, because we are in the heart of Taurus season in May, and we are going to see the sun ingress, obviously, into Gemini as well. I will not forget you guys. These are just the ones that catch my eye. So like I said, there's going to be a handful more, but these are ones that I find particularly interesting. So it's going to kick off with May 5th with the sun conjunct Uranus, and that's going to be at 12 degrees of Taurus. It's an exciting day. Unexpected things are going to be happening, shakeups, changes. Whenever the sun, which is consciousness, comes into conjunction with Uranus, we definitely see revolution in our lives in some way. There can be earth shakes, quakes, financial uproars, all kinds of things that are taking place. It really depends on where Taurus falls in your chart. So look for an exciting period right around the 5th of May. Especially that it's going to be happening at 12 degrees. It's something that is spiritual, energetic, global, psychic, intuitive. So we might have to look a little bit harder to find it. On May the 10th, we are going to see Jupiter ingress into Aries, and boy, oh boy, that is a big energy. Whenever a outer planet, or any planet, but especially an outer planet, crosses that 0 degrees cardinal Aries point, it is an initiation of something new. So Aries is going to be the archetype of the warrior. It's about courage, passion, drive, our willingness to stand up and fight for something. And when it meets with the sign, with the planet Jupiter, we are fighting for our own personal beliefs, our own quest, our own knowledge, and definitely it's putting a highlight on our own individual needs, our philosophies, where we're traveling, where we are going. So I'm going to talk about where that's going to land in your chart. It is brief, but if you guys have not already seen my Jupiter entering into Aries video, take a look. I go in depth into that and talk about where it's going to be taking place for your sign. I also pull some tarot cards as well. Now, this very same day, on the 10th, Mercury will go retrograde in Gemini, and Mercury will be dropping back down at some point later in the month to Taurus. So at the end of April, beginning of May, we're already in Mercury retrograde shadow. Maybe you guys are already kind of feeling the bumpiness and some plans maybe going astray, some communication or gadget breakdown can be happening as well. But just be mindful that on this day, it goes retrograde. On May 13th, we are going to see the sun coming into conjunction with the North Node in Taurus, and it is shining a light on pleasure, stability, resources, our personal sense of value. Now, whenever we're seeing anything related to Taurus, it does deal with land, the earth, money, resources, also food. But generally, the North Node Sun is about coming into an awareness in regards to our future. So for everyone, I feel like this is an important day to pay attention because we might actually see the Sun highlight where we are going. So that's very exciting as well. On the 15th of the month, this is when we have our total lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and it is at 25 degrees. Lunar eclipses are emotional. They shake things up. Doors open, doors close. But with this one in particular, I think it's going to be about releasing and letting go of things. Now, if you guys are not aware, I have a video out on this already. I go deep into what we might see, some of the themes, some of the midpoints, and how that'll play out for you guys. Just know that we have been in eclipse energy really since about the beginning of April, and eclipses come in pairs. We saw one on the 30th of April, and this is the second, and it is wrapping things up that you've been working on since about November of 2021. Scorpio is the archetype of death and rebirth, and it's also about money owed or karmic contracts. So there can be a sense of feeling like we have to let something go, pay something off, release something, and it's all about death and renewal or regeneration. On this same day, we're also going to see that the Sun in Taurus will come into a square with Saturn in Aquarius, so we kind of feel that hard ego check. We're going to see stop signs, speed bumps, slowing down, having to take things into consideration. Saturn is holding us accountable for karmic matters, and it's making sure that we are connecting and really fulfilling our obligations to raise the bar energetically higher, focusing on goals, focusing on community, everybody coming together for the sake of being able to move forward into the future. Remember, Aquarius is about elevation and Saturn's about karma. So we're going to see lots about elevating consciousness, elevating energy, things like that. The same day, the Sun will sextile Neptune and also Jupiter in Pisces. So there is a sense of grace, acceptance, letting things go if that's what needs to happen to be able to feel better in our bodies. So while this eclipse can be a little startling, it's got positive aspects both to Jupiter and Neptune, which can be very spiritual and therapeutic, and also the South Node in Scorpio, where we release and we let go of trauma. On the 21st of the month, we're going to see the Sun come into a cazimi with Mercury, and this is going to be in the sign of Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's the messenger. It's how we communicate, how we move, where we're going, what we're doing, sharing of ideas. It's kind of buzzing with energy. So when we see Mercury retrograde and conjunct the Sun, the cazimi is when Mercury is in the heart of the Sun and it's just in front of the Sun by a few minutes. Likely there's unexpected communication, insights, finding out information that we may have overlooked or didn't know on this day. So look for that to be taking place for you. And last but not least, on May 29th, we are going to see Mars come into conjunction with Jupiter in Aries. Big energy, big ideas, big beliefs, big opportunities for travel, expansion, self-development. And I keep telling everybody, this is what we've been waiting for. It's going to feel like 2022 is starting at the end of May. I know it's crazy. Oh my gosh. By that point in time, we're almost halfway through the year. But if you have been holding back on starting something new or taking a chance, rolling out something new that you're doing, whether it's like a new job that you're going to be taking, maybe you want to launch a business, maybe you want to go on a trip solo, this is going to be a wonderful time to just commit to doing something and getting it done and being optimistic. Between the planets that are going to be in Gemini and also the Mars-Jupiter in Aries, we see lots of air and fire working together, bringing us enthusiasm and the ability to actually move forward. So I'm looking forward to that transit. I've been waiting for some time. So obviously check out my video for the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse if you want more information on that. I pull tarot cards and I go in depth into predictions for the world as well as all 12 of the zodiac signs. So for the month ahead, please listen for your rising, sun, and moon sign. This is for tropical Western astrology. You can listen also to your progress chart if you resonate with that as well. Choose your own adventure. You guys know how that goes. I'm going to talk about each and every one of the 12 signs. I'm going to break each and every one of these transits down for you, talk a little bit about what it may bring. Like I said, there is more information peppered in my other videos, though, if you want to know more about that. Otherwise, just take a listen for your rising and your sun sign. So we are going to start obviously with Aries. Aries, welcome to May 2022. I hope you're doing very well. The month kicks off with a Sun-Uranus conjunction in your natal second house of money and resources. Likely this is going to be some very exciting news about money. Now it can be your financial goals coming true. It can be something physically materializing. Something can come out of the blue. Being that it's the Sun-Uranus conjunction, it's about a revolution in regards to your values, right? So maybe something is shifting, revolving around something that you once valued, but now you're due for an upgrade. It can be also something in regards to digital money or currency. Watch out for anything in regards to borrowing or lending, especially with friends. There can be some stuff kind of going on there that can be a little funky. But I think that you're really tuning into what you really value, what makes you happy, and how you can be more authentic in terms of your self-expression, but equally also an unexpected talent that somehow is developing for you here. Be mindful of transactions this day. Things can be a little unexpected, to say the least, a little unexpected. Now on the 10th, we're going to see Jupiter, and it's coming into the sign of Aries. So this is your sign. This is a big deal because it's ingressing. So whether you're an Aries, sun, moon, or rising, it's promising you a new beginning. Pay attention for that. It's going to bring you more optimism. It's going to make you feel like anything is possible. And it's going to also get you thinking about the bigger picture, where you want to go and what you believe in. That same day, Mercury turns retrograde in Aries in your third house, and this is going to be about rethinking something, looking over a document, reworking a lease, possibly thinking about trading in a car or a vehicle. You might lose an email. You are also more prone to having problems with your electronics, so be mindful of anything in regards to your laptops, your computers, your phones, anything like that. It can get a little buggy. If you have been planning a trip or planning to go and visit a sibling, there can be some communication breakdown. Equally, I would say there can be a sense of you rethinking what you value or how much money you're willing to spend on either a new gadget or a new vehicle. Look through any documents very carefully before you sign anything. This is very important because I feel like more information is going to come about within a couple days' time of this retrograde. On the 13th of the month, the Sun Taurus conjuncts the North Node, and this is in your natal second house. I feel like the first week and a half of May is about you realizing you have some untapped potential, a talent that could bring you more, a knack for something financially, and just realizing that, you know, you need to focus more on your values, what makes you feel secure, what brings you pleasure. So when the Sun conjuncts the North Node on the 13th, look for signs from the universe as to where you can find more security and stability. Many of you are feeling like you need more art, resources, food, or even land. So I think you'll get your answer somewhere around that day. On the 15th of the month, there will be a lunar eclipse, and that is happening in your natal 8th house in the sign of Scorpio. This is where we deal with all the skeletons in the closet. There can be this eclipsing out of some kind of support. So if you are somebody who's been receiving spousal support, child support, if you've been waiting to hear if you're going to get reimbursed for something, or if an insurance company is going to pay you back for something, it's possible it comes because of this eclipse. We are going to see it highlighting your natal 2nd and 8th house, which is your money versus other people's. I know you're having to work harder for your resources. I know that you're having to work harder to provide for yourself, or there's just more responsibility on your shoulders than usual when it comes to paying the bills. So this can be something that is a little uncomfortable. You may have to put a plan or a dream on back burner or on hold in order to get something paid off. You may opt also to finally get out of debt, or possibly get some good news in regards to lending. Now that is possible, I think, actually, I do. You may have to say no to a friend who might be asking to borrow money, or you may have to turn down social opportunities because it might break the bank this month. Needless to say, an eclipse in your 8th house does bring permanent endings usually. So if something ends, if something gets cut off, if a resource is gone, likely it's to make you stronger. And there's a lot of redeveloping how you can rework your finances this month so that way you can be more self-reliant. On the 19th of the month, we're going to see the sun come into a trine with Pluto. So the sun is in Taurus. It's going to trine Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house. I feel like there is a need for you to really focus on power and control. Maybe you are up for a raise. Maybe you're asking for a raise or a bonus, or there is a sense of you reworking what you feel like your value is, like what you're worth, you know? So looking at this, I get the impression that there is a need for you to really believe in yourself, believe in your talent, believe in your worth. And the more that you're doing that, the more superiors or people who are above you in your career might see that. And you have lots of opportunities to communicate and negotiate something, right? We're going to see that because Mercury will retrograde in Gemini and drop back into Taurus. And when it does, it'll trine Pluto in your 10th. So you might need to overlook a document or negotiate something before you sign on the dotted line, especially if it comes to benefits or bringing in more money. On the 21st of the month, we're going to see the Sun-Mercury Cazimi, and it's really important for you to watch for some insightful information. Possibly it's going to be an insightful information with a child, a younger person, a romantic partner, maybe even a sibling that's possible, maybe a neighbor. But somebody is basically going to highlight the need to express or explain to you where you are doing a great job, where you're learning how to communicate and express from a more heart-centered space maybe, and a lot of back and forth about a creative project. But needless to say, there is definitely probably going to be an email, a text message, a phone call that's going to come out of the blue that you didn't see that's going to bring good news because it's conjunct the sun. And last but not least, on the 29th of the month, Mars will conjunct Jupiter in Aries, and that's big energy. I would say at the very least, it's going to kind of make you feel like you have your groove back, and you're going to have a little bit more of a sense of optimism, and you're going to be feeling a little adventurous. You're probably going to need an outlet for all of this energy on your ascendant or on your sun or on your moon. So be mindful that you're going to be like, I want to do it. I want to do it now. Look for an outlet when it comes to your physical health, or be planning a trip, or maybe be thinking about ways that you can incorporate your physical body and your spiritual well-being. Think like yoga, tai chi, anything that's going to move energy around your body. You're also going to be feeling like sharing information, teaching people, and going places. So there's like a lot of spiritual developments that are coming with this conjunction of Mars and Jupiter on your ascendant. On the other hand, you can kind of be like hell on wheels. So just be mindful that you're going to be probably a little bit more feisty than usual, and just to take your time when you're dealing with other people. Let's see what the cards say for the month ahead for you, Aries. Okay, so the card that I get is the Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles is going to be all about you finding something of value and wanting to like nurture it, right? So it can be like a new talent, can be an investment. It could possibly be working with a younger person, especially if it's an earth sign. This can be the beginning of good news coming in, or the seed that's being planted for a more abundant financial future. Be mindful that you're kind of in new territory though, because pages do talk about like trying something out for the first time, or just getting started in something. So if you're starting to learn about trading, investing, if there is a sense of you starting to focus more on being mindful of even what you're eating, right? This is all taking place. A lot of this energy is in your second house. So it's your wealth, it's what you're eating, it's your self-esteem. And so you're kind of going at this in like a very young, youthful way. You're trying things new for the very first time. So stay at it, stick with it, because I think you're going to see some kind of financial reward or better health. All right. So now we have Taurus and Taurus rising. Taurus, welcome to May 2022. Happy birthday to my May Tauruses. I hope you guys are doing well. Well, in some ways, in a lot of ways, this is like putting you guys really in the spotlight this month. There's quite a few planets going through Taurus. We've got an eclipse that's aspecting you. We've also got a retrograde dipping back into your sign. So there's a lot changing for you, Taurus. Take it easy. Take your time. Okay, so the one thing that I would say with this is when the Sun and Uranus conjunct on the 5th of the month, you may be feeling on one hand more free. You may be feeling more alive. There can be this like electric current with Uranus coming into conjunction with the Sun that's just really highlighting something unique and like a new flair about you. It can also prompt you to want to rebel against people telling you what to do. This is a day where you're not going to be wanting to be told what to wear, you know, how to show up and appear at work. You're going to have an issue with authority. So be mindful that you're going to push back a little bit on that. And there is a sense of you feeling like you want to be in the driver's seat of your own life and controlling your own destiny. So it's one thing to be different and to kind of go against the grain and shake things up a bit. It's another thing to be flat out stubborn and rebellious, and it may not go over well, especially if you're dealing with superiors or a parent at this time. So be mindful of the 5th. Now, on the 10th of the month, Jupiter comes into the sign of Aries, and that's moving into your 12th house. On one hand, I feel like it's an opportunity for spiritual renewal, rest, recuperation, going to retreats, learning more about spirituality, meditation, traveling to foreign lands. On the other hand, it can be this feeling of you really needing to find the faith. And it's about redefining your own personal faith. Jupiter in your 12th house is wrapping things up and issues pertaining to the self or selfishness. So this is a real like guardian angel transit. Jupiter in your 12th house can bring blessings suddenly out of the blue, or quite frankly, even miracles. But I think that there's a sense of you struggling with letting go of an old identity and still dealing with issues regarding selfishness. But there's a lot to learn when it comes to faith and optimism and spirituality if you open yourself up to it. This same day, we're going to see Mercury will retrograde in Gemini, and that's taking place in your 2nd house. So you're focusing on reworking your values, reworking your budget, what you're spending. Be careful with spending. There might be a sense of reviewing and kind of looking at things going like, where did all the money go this month? Or I spent how much on that? And be mindful of like double charges, especially like with debit transactions. There can be some things that get double charged because it's in Gemini and it was like a malfunction or it was like an error. Be mindful of excess spending, big budget purchases, things of that nature. I think there's a lot of redefining how you communicate what you value, but also what programs or softwares that you're using when it comes to transactions or investments. Then on the 13th of the month, the sun comes into conjunction with the North Node, and that's going to be in your sign. So it's really highlighting like your personal path forward. It's like the universe's way of saying, okay, Taurus, what do you value? What do you find beautiful? How do you find strength? And where can you really shine and be your most authentic self? Focus on how you feel in your body and also your self-expression, perhaps how you're coming across to others, or even just what feels right? Like what feels good, and are you feeling good in your skin? Are you responding well to that? The spotlight might be on you, and there might be an emphasis on really figuring out what is your passion, right? What is your passion? Then on the 15th of the month, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, and that's taking place in your 7th house. There's no candy coating this. If somebody's got to go, they got to go. If somebody from the past is going to come up, they just might. So just be mindful that with the South Node eclipse in your opposite sign in the 7th house of relationships, and also with the square to Saturn in the 10th, there are some big changes revolving around how you're identifying out in the world. Some of you guys might be opting to split with a business partner. Some of you guys might be splitting with an actual romantic partner. But know that if it's a relationship that's in alignment and it's healthy and it's one to stay, then you will be able to weather the storm. A lot of this is learning how to redefine who you are without always being attached to another person. So that can be coming up. There can be a sense of you letting go of old pain and fears revolving around old relationship patterns. And definitely can materialize as a bit of like a conflict of who's in charge in certain relationships with this square to Saturn. On the 19th of the month, we're going to see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto. So the sun's in your sign, trining your 9th house. If you need a lawyer, if you need to sign a legal document, if you need to file for something, if you need to find personal strength or the need to overcome something, if you need to check in with a guru or a mentor, this would be the day to do it. Sun trine Pluto really makes us aware of our ego's desires and needs, and the sun being in your sign, it's all about security and resources. As it trines Pluto in the 9th, it's somebody who can guide you in that direction. Look for powerful people who can help you at that time. On the 21st of the month, we're going to see that Mercury and the Sun form a cazimi in the sign of Gemini. And it looks to me like if there was something that you overlooked, right, around the 10th, or money or a transaction that went sour, this is going to come back up about 11 days later. Maybe that's when you catch it. Maybe that's when you're able to find another opportunity when it comes to redefining your resources. Maybe you find a different bank. Maybe it's possible that you even find that you have control of something that you weren't sure if you were going to have control over beforehand. Regardless, look for documents or conversations or dual options when it comes to managing your resources or even your money. On the 29th of the month, we're going to see Mars coming into conjunction with Jupiter in Aries, and this is happening in your natal 12th house. So this is all going to be about some kind of spiritual enlightenment, the possibility to change and transform your belief system, rest, recuperation, maybe going on a quick trip, getting away and going somewhere for renewal. There can be really strong intuitive hits that are coming up from this, as well as some kind of merger that you're having with another person. Take a look and see what the cards say for you for the month ahead. I get Two of Swords. Thinking things through, going back and forth, being decisive. I mean, it makes sense with the retrograde in Gemini, right? This is very Mercury retrograde in Gemini. And going back and forth with, like, do I look into this further? Do I question this? Do I say something? You might kind of feel like you're like at a crossroads with things right now, and you're not sure if it's too soon to speak. If you get the impression intuitively that's like, I'm not going to say anything until I know, follow that. There is a potential, though, for taking too long and going back and forth about something too long and missing an opportunity. So that's the one thing I want to say, watch out for. You want to watch out for this. You don't want to miss an opportunity. Don't turn a blind eye to something. If your intuition is saying, hey, dig deeper, look at this, actually take a look and practice being decisive. Look for increments of 2 or 2 in a sequence of numbers. So you might see like 2, 2, 2. It might be 2 days, 2 weeks for something. You might be asking for a sign to help you make a decision. For Gemini and Gemini rising, this is on the 5th of the month. You see the Sun coming into conjunction with Uranus, and that's happening in your natal 12th house. Well, it can be a day where you're feeling like you're going a little crazy. You can kind of be in your head a little bit, or maybe you're just feeling like you need your alone time. Maybe you're kind of bugging out. Rest, recuperation is definitely something that comes up with that. But I also feel like it can be a time where you're really turning to the universe and asking for some guidance and trying to maintain the faith. Look for insightful dreams or anything like that that can be happening. And there might be sudden opportunities for also you to do some traveling, right? Visual stuff is big, so it's like films, movies, documentaries, anything that's really stirring your imagination in that sense and helping you feel inspired. On the 10th, we are going to see that Jupiter enters into Aries, and that's happening in your 11th house, really spicing up your social life, bringing in new friends, new opportunities, and broadening your horizons in terms of networking. This same day, you're going to see Mercury go retrograde in your sign. So your Mercury ruled, you're going to feel this more so than usual. Mercury will actually drop from Gemini into Taurus in your 12th house, and it makes me feel like you're really thinking about something, strategizing something, planning something before you say anything. You may have a hunch or have an idea that there's like good news on the horizon, but it's too soon to release it. It's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. You don't want to like jinx it and like tell your friends or whatever that you've landed a deal before it's happened. You may need to like reflect on whether or not you're actually going to commit to making a decision. That's the other way that I could kind of see this. Regardless, Mercury retrogrades do affect you more than usual, as do in your own personal sign. So if you need to kind of think something through, sit with it, re-examine how you could better communicate, or if you're just not feeling like talking, you could wait until the end of the month until this energy kind of settles out. Then on the 13th of the month, the Sun comes into conjunction with the North Node in Taurus, and it's really highlighting still the need to rest, recuperate. There is a sense of you reflecting, retreating. Maybe you're on vacation, maybe you want to get away from it all, maybe you just want to go and hang out in nature. Regardless, this is a day for, I think, renewal and a need to really take a step back and really realize that your ability to feel secure starts with your mindset and what you're visualizing or what you're manifesting, meditating on, or praying for. On the 15th of the month, we're going to see that there's going to be a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, and this is going to be taking place in your natal 6th house. You want to watch for any health crises because it is possible this can happen. We find out that a coworker got sick, and then a couple days later, we got a virus. It is also possible that you can have some digestional issues or some issues in regards to how a psychological issue is affecting your health or your daily routine. Because this is a south node eclipse, including the moon, it may be dietary or digestional or just emotions that are getting the best of you and affecting your health. Regardless, this is a time to really highlight where some of your mental or emotional stresses are affecting your physical body, and you might be feeling a little under the weather. Take your time, adjust your schedule. It's possible this also can come with endings, whether this is endings of relationships, endings of places that you've been working, rescheduling something, especially if it's a health-related matter, or possibly even needing to adjust your schedule in general. So watch for that. On the 19th of the month, we're going to see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So it's trining from your 12th house to your 8th. I'm wondering if some of you guys need a surgical procedure or need an x-ray, or there's a possibility that you need to have something removed or that you're needing to detox something. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting between some of these aspects between your 6th, 12th, and 8th house. Once again, still 12th and 8th house energy is releasing, letting go, and purging. So when we see that happening from the 12th to the 8th, whatever is being detoxed or removed from the body is likely going to bring better health. On the 21st of the month, we are going to see that there is going to be a cazimi between the sun and Mercury on your natal sign. And so maybe it's like that's when you're starting to realize like, okay, actually I'm feeling better, you know, especially if you guys have been having digestional issues or breathing issues. This is something you really want to watch for because Mercury rules the lungs. So you might be feeling more up to communicating, maybe after like a period of like a week or two of kind of being in your cave. Now you're ready to step out and you're feeling better and you can, you know, kind of chit chat with people again. It's not like you not to be social, but I think with this many eclipses hitting you, it might kind of come out of the blue and you might be feeling very overwhelmed with either work or health responsibilities. And I think you're going to have like an epiphany happening where you're like, you know what? I think that this is what was missing, right? Or maybe you finally decide to pick up the phone and kind of get back to people after you're coming off of what's been some challenging energies for you personally. And last but not least, on the 29th of the month, we're going to see that Mars and Jupiter in Aries are going to connect in a conjunction. This is happening in your 11th house. So maybe after a month of kind of being away, your friends are like, you need to come hang out. You need to socialize. You need to get out of your cave, you know? And they're kind of dragging you out and trying to get you to be social. It will be a very, very social end of the month and all of June for you because of this conjunction. That's not going to slow down. So if you're feeling blue, if you're feeling down, if you're not feeling well in general, just be mindful. You've got friends that are going to be reaching out to you, asking you if you're going to come and spend time with them, asking them if you're going to connect with them, and they will try to pull you out of your funk. I promise you that. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Oh, wow. Yeah. Definitely pulling you out of your funk. 3 of Cups. So it's trying to get you maybe to see like the bright side of things. It's trying to get you to focus more on being a part of a group and a community, not feeling like you're alone. This is about celebrations, parties, get-togethers. It can be you and 2 other friends going out, and it can also just be you celebrating the good times, right? And really focusing on not where you've been, but where you're going. So now we have Cancer and Cancer rising. Welcome to May of 2022, Cancer. Hope you're doing well. And I don't know if I said happy birthday to Gemini. So if it's your birthday, Gemini, I did not forget you. Happy birthday. All right, Cancer. So now let's go ahead and get into this for you. So welcome to May. The month kicks off with a Sun-Uranus conjunction, and that's happening in your natal 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes, and friends. Well, what can I say? I mean, there is a sense of you really getting excited about something that you're working on with another person. It can be a creative collaboration. It can be some kind of an investment thing. But regardless, to me, it seems like you are really going to be excited about whatever is taking place. There can be good news coming for some of your friends. One of your friends could be be having a party, celebrating something, or possibly even having a kid. But regardless of what's going on, it looks like you're going to join the celebration and you're going to be totally stoked for what's going on. On the 10th of the month, we're going to see that Jupiter enters into Aries, and that's going to go into your 10th house, expanding your career big time. This is a new cycle for you, so every 12 years you get a renewal. This year happens to be in your career zone. You're going to feel growing pains, and I would just say stay open to new opportunities that come for your career, even if you have to go at it alone. That same day, Mercury turns retrograde in Gemini, and there is a sense of you having to face anxiety or fears about the future. There is also a sense of you possibly kind of feeling like you're in your head a little bit, or maybe even uncovering a secret as it turns retrograde in your natal 12th house. Look for a really prominent dream, maybe. That could be another way that that plays out. On the 13th of the month, the sun comes into conjunction with the North Node in Taurus, and that is going to be highlighting for you your natal 11th house. So it's basically shining a light on who are your friends, who's your support system, who are you networking with. A dream can be coming true. There can be a sense also of you just kind of realizing like what your goal is and feeling like very accomplished by maybe being able to complete that goal or seeing it all the way through. On the 15th of the month, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. And this is a sister sign. It's a lunar eclipse, so it's going to do better for you in general. So just be mindful that even though it's emotional, it's meant to be like a positive release. Now, this lunar eclipse is taking place in your natal 5th house. So it deals with lovers, romantic partners, creative projects, and children. Some of you guys are having to actually accept that your children are getting older, that they are growing up. Maybe they're flying the nest. There can be a sense of you having to let go of an old creative project, completing a creative project, maybe releasing it into the world, especially if it's very personal to you. If you have been going through some romantic relationship strife with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and there's been a lot of back and forth and you're not really able to find a solution, this eclipse can present a situation where you have to let someone go. Let something you love go. Let an old project go. It can be flying off because you've completed it. It can be cutting it off because it's not bringing love anymore into your life. So it's a really important time to pay attention to what brings you joy, what doesn't bring you joy. There can be this feeling of more responsibility, especially when it comes to costs for children or just really kind of expensive or involved creative projects as well. So if you have hobbies and things that definitely take up a lot of your time or even your resources, there can be this feeling of like, oh man, you know, this is a lot. Can I continue to keep carrying this with me? Some people may find out they're pregnant from this eclipse, and if they do, it's likely going to be good news, but it's also not the best timing, especially from a financial perspective. So something about the pressure of children comes up a lot for this eclipse for you. And if not children, then the pressure of funding your own business or your own creative projects. Then on the 19th of the month, we're going to see the sun come into a trine with Pluto. So we see a sun trine from your 11th house to your 7th. It looks like you're trying to get some positive feedback or optimism from a friend, especially in regards to what might be a challenging relationship dynamic. A lot of you guys have had a lot of back and forth with your relationships recently. It's been a lot. Maybe there is a friend that steps in and gives you a little bit of insight, and they talk to you a little bit about their perspective, and it helps you kind of see things fully. Sun trine Pluto is about being able to feel like you are coming into your desires, and they are big desires when it comes to relationships. So it can just be a real building day for relationships and talking about your goals in general. Then on the 21st, we're going to see a Sun-Mercury cazimi, and this is a big deal because it's happening in your 12th house. So information is being relayed to you that you did not see coming. Unexpected information, which might really shake up, make or break something in regards to your finances or your security. I get the impression that it's going to rock you a little bit, but by the same token, your intuition was like, hey, I had a feeling this was going to happen. Something kept telling me something, may fall apart, or I had a hunch or I had a dream, and then boom, there's my confirmation. So pay attention to that. That's a big one. And then last but not least, on the 29th, we see Mars come in conjunction with Jupiter in Aries, and likely that is a moment where you have to hit the ground running when it comes to your career. Maybe you got pushed out of an old job or business. Maybe you have no other choice but to go at it on your own. It's going to take a lot of motivation. It's going to take a lot of momentum, a lot of energy and optimism, but it is a wonderful time for you to consider starting a new business. You may not figure out how you're going to pay for it. You may not figure out where you're going to do it or how it's going to go. It doesn't matter. Mars and Jupiter says, just do it now, get it going. Even though you're going to be under pressure, I think for the most part, to be honest with you, it's good and it's helping you initiate what's going to be a new cycle really for the better part of the next 12 years, especially when it comes to working independently. The card that I got for you is the Seven of Coins. So this is where you're putting your resources. This is like, okay, I'm spending this much money or this much time doing this or doing that. There's a lot of like planting seeds in this next month. You really need to budget, stay on top of that. I could see where you're a little iffy, like, are these things going to work out? But you have no choice, right? You got to plant your garden. There is a need for you to do this. So that way, you know that you're going to have something to eat later in the year. So take your time. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Really think things through before you make an investment. But also realize that you need to nurture this process. It could be your career, right? It could be listening to your intuition, whatever it is. Take your time and know that you're setting yourself up for stability long term. Okay, so now we have got Leo and Leo rising. Welcome to May of 2022. Oh boy, Leo, the energy is rather intense for you. You know, we've got the North and South node in Taurus and Scorpio. We have Saturn in Aquarius, and with planets in your sign, you are experiencing big time grand fixed squares. So you might feel like everything in your life is changing, and it can be a little unsettling, but it's because it's time for you to have new beginnings all around. And even though while you're in it, it's intense, on the other side, it ends up being quite positive. So hang in there, okay? So for you this month, it starts with the Sun-Uranus conjunction in your natal 10th house, and it tells me that it can be about a really powerful union that you're having with another person. You could be finding the very best person for a business venture and you're partnering with them. It could be a time when you're changing your status on Facebook and telling everybody you're in a relationship or married. It could be when you finally come out and tell everybody, we broke up, we're divorced, I'm free. That's a day to watch because there is a sense of you wanting to really not necessarily strong arm, but really redefine, I guess is the term, who you are out in the world in regards to other people who you're partnering with. So you're going to have very strong opinions about where you stand with somebody on this day. Anytime the sun comes into conjunction with anything, it affects you. So it's about you rebelling. And I would say you want to watch for rebelling in the workforce, quitting your job suddenly, or getting into a screaming match with your boss. These are things you definitely don't want to do. On the 10th of the month, we are going to see that Jupiter enters into Aries. It's going to move into your natal 9th house, expanding your beliefs, your optimism, providing opportunities for travel, continuing education, and just a general overall sense of positivity and connection to your higher self or even God. So new teachers or gurus come in usually during that transit. On the same day, we're going to see Mercury turn retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So this is happening in your 11th house. Maybe a friend from the past calls you up. Maybe you're reviewing your goals. You're thinking about who you have in your corner, which friends you can rely on. And it's a great time to reconnect with a network or with a group of friends in general. Somebody from the past may come back in some way. On the 13th of the month, the sun meets with the North Node in your 10th house of career, and you're realizing how inspired, how passionate you are about taking, the bull by the horns when it comes to your career, being in charge, feeling like you're on the top of the mountain and really delegating tasks and coming into your true stable self when it comes to your career, making the money that you want, feeling comfortable and also very fulfilled, right, when it comes to what you're doing out in the world for a living. Look for really prominent changes or shifts around that time. On the 15th of the month, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. And this is a little intense because it's in a fixed sign. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, they're all going to feel it. But for you in particular, this is landing in your natal 4th house, and it's a south node lunar eclipse. Likely this is going to materialize as you breaking away from something relating to your home. So moving away, selling a house, demoing a home, saying goodbye to a relative or a family member. Possibly it could be moving to a new space. The problem is that this is going to square Saturn that's in your natal 7th house, and it makes me feel like you are cutting ties with the past, especially relationships from the past, really severing those ties. Definitely listen to my eclipse video so you have a better understanding of how that's going to play out. But it's very emotional, and there can be some tumultuousness with family, so be mindful of that. On the 19th, we're going to see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. Now, the sun is in your 10th house. It's trining Pluto in your 6th. It's all about your schedule, getting ahead of things, staying on task, being healthy, feeling like you're in control of where you're working, your health, your workout routine maybe. And there is a sense of you working through any toxic issues in regards to these topics in general. Getting ahead of health problems and also issues at the office are likely to happen. On the 21st, we're going to see that there is a Sun-Mercury cazimi that's happening in the sign of Gemini, and this is taking place in your natal 11th house. So to me, it seems like you might physically meet up with a friend after all the chaos that's gone on the first 2 weeks of the month, and like, you know, you need to hang out and just chit chat, and they have some really insightful advice for you, especially when it comes to what's going on with your career or just your goals in general. And if you've been longing to reconnect with a friend from the past, this might be an excellent time to see them or visit them or travel with them as well. On the 29th of the month, we have Mars and Jupiter meeting in the sign of Aries, and this is in your 9th house. You might be like, I'm booking that trip, I'm getting on that flight, I'm going away for a little bit, or I'm signing up for that course, or I'm applying for that program, I'm launching my book. There is a sense of real optimism and excitement and expansion happening. I'm excited to see this happen in a fellow fire sign. I feel like it's just going to bring a little bit more positivity and expansion into your life. I mean, you might go on a trip by yourself that really helps you find yourself, is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. But regardless, just look for positivity all around at the end of the month, and just kind of feeling like you have the faith back. Let's see what the cards say for you for the month ahead for Leo. All right, so we have 6 of Swords. Where are you going? Are you going on a cruise? Are you going overseas? Is there a sense of you moving? Are you thinking about a far distance move? You know, possible. It's the 9th house. Whatever it is, you're going somewhere. And whether it's like your frame of mind or like you're actually traveling somewhere, to me, it looks positive. You might kind of feel like you're in limbo right now, but this is moving on to more serene, calm, positive waters. So if you've been dealing with some issues that have been a little rocky, peace is on the way. Know that you're in between. Look for increments of 6 months, 6 days, 6 weeks. Maybe you're like, I just need to go somewhere for a couple of weeks and clear my head and come back. Would not surprise me. All right, so now we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. Welcome to May 2022. The month kicks off with the Sun conjunct Uranus in your natal 6th house. And, in your natal 9th house. It's going to be in your natal 9th house, and it makes me feel like there may be a sudden opportunity to travel. There might be a new belief system that you uncover. There might be a new teaching or spiritual something that you encounter. Maybe you're planning a getaway or a vacation for later in the summer. I think there could be a sudden dramatic shift in your beliefs, or there could be like a dream or a philosophy that radically shifts the way that you see the world in general. So that's pretty positive. It's happening in a fellow earth sign. So likely it's going to help you shift your perspective on where you could go, where you could visit, what you believe in, what you learn, or how you see the world in general. On the 10th of the month, we're going to see Jupiter enter Aries, and it's in your 8th house, highlighting the need to really dig deep when it comes to intimacy. It may be an opportunity for you to receive an inheritance. This is going to be a longer transit, so check out my video, but some of you guys are going to have to be managing an estate. Some of you guys might inherit property or something in relation to family. There can be a sense of just more abundance coming in, or somebody who is offering their home to you or offering to help you with a home in some way. This help can also come from the family, so look for that. That same day, Mercury turns retrograde in Gemini, and Mercury is your chart ruler. So Mercury going retrograde in your 10th house is reworking your idea of work, your responsibilities. Maybe you're juggling 2 jobs. Maybe you're thinking about going back to an old profession. Maybe you're waiting to hear back from a job interview. But regardless, this Mercury retrograde is going to affect you quite a bit because it is your chart ruler. And likely, if you're having some adjustments at work, thinking about going back to work or changing jobs, you'll find out more later in the month, closer to the Cazimi. On the 13th of the month, the Sun conjuncts the North Node in Taurus, and this is in your natal 9th house. Some of you guys are moving. Some of you guys are traveling to a country you've never gone to before. Some of you guys are dealing with legal matters. It really depends. It's highlighting your 9th and your 12th house. You'd have to see how it aspects your chart personally. The Sun North Node is shining a light on something you did not see. It can also be about a romantic encounter and somebody who lives at a distance or who is culturally different in some way. So look for that around that time. If you've been looking for the right program, the right school to apply to, the right spiritual or religious group to join, if you've been wanting to learn more about any of these topics, likely it will present itself around the 13th. Then on the 15th of the month, we see a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, and this is going to be in your natal 3rd house. Now, a south node eclipse with a square to Saturn makes me feel like there can be some communication breakdown. There can be some scheduling breakdown. There can be an issue with a car that needs maintenance. There can be an issue with a neighbor that can be annoying, and there can be some conflict there. But regardless, a south node eclipse is emotional in general, okay? So it's a lunar eclipse. And if you guys are having to move, if you have to have a serious conversation with a relative, if you are afraid to open an email or have a discussion, it's likely going to get triggered at the time of this particular eclipse. Now, with the square to Saturn, it makes me feel like timing is off. It's kind of agitating. It's going to kind of mess your schedule up in some way, or there is some need to update your way of thinking or communicating with other people. This is not limited to just that. It can also be applications or also gadgets as well. So look for that. On the 19th of the month, we see the Sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto in Capricorn, and it makes me feel like you're starting to see the forest through the trees. There is a sense of a new profound belief within yourself or how you see the world in general. You'll be experiencing an Earth trine between planets in Capricorn and also planets in Taurus. So something is shifting. You're learning how to communicate in a different way. On the 21st of the month, there is the Sun, Mercury, Cazimi, and Gemini, and it's in your 10th house. So if you've been waiting to hear how a work schedule is going to go, if you're going to get the job, if you're going to relocate for work, if you're going to transfer to a department, if somebody is going to, quit and you're going to take their position, maybe you're going back and forth between 2 jobs, look for whatever's going on in the 21st to highlight which one you let go of and which one you keep. Naturally, because you have Gemini in your 10th house, Virgo, you are likely to be somebody who has 2 jobs or even like a job and a side hustle, but you may have to let one go. On the 29th of the month, Mars moves into conjunction with Jupiter in your natal 8th house, and this is really highlighting something pertaining to resources, money. Paying things off is likely a payment is due, especially if you had to move or if you had to pay for a vehicle. It could be a rather large payment because Mars and Jupiter are coming together. There's also an emphasis to be more open to intimacy in relationships, vulnerability, and the willingness to handle any issues with debt, especially debt you have accrued in the past, so that way you can better fund living with another person or covering your expenses for living. There is a need to really open up more and be open to vulnerability and being able to show more of yourself to another person. The card that I got for you is the Moon. I think a lot's going to happen around the lunar eclipse. I'm just going to say that point blank. Primarily because that eclipse is aspecting so many things in your chart. It's really triggering you because Scorpio sextiles Virgo. We also see trines to all the planets in Pisces in your 7th house of relationships. Things are changing. You're having to be more open and kind of sharing your vulnerabilities. And it can be scary, especially because it's highlighting things that you have kept hidden or kind of sublunar in the past. So I want you to think about that and how it makes you feel. It's a time to be able to communicate feelings a little bit more, and where you're scared or where you're having hangups. And it might surprise you that some of these things are hanging around and you never knew that they were there. So take your time, watch for this during the moon, and don't be surprised if it's really highlighting things that you weren't sure or you didn't know were there emotionally to begin with. All right, so now for Libra and Libra rising. Well, welcome to May of 2022. We are going to see the month kick off with the sun coming in conjunction with Uranus in your natal 8th house. Wowzers. So there could be some really explosive information when it comes to financial secrets, something that you didn't see coming in terms of a potential gain, unexpected things going on with children, lovers, or anything in regards to investments. Now, Uranus is the ruler of your 5th house, so this could also, for some of you, be an unexpected pregnancy. So watch out for that. Very insightful, though. It's liberating. Uranus wants to bring something very exciting and brand new. On the 10th of the month, we're going to see Jupiter enter into Aries, and that is your natal 7th house. So really expanding when it comes to romantic relationships, partnerships of all kinds. It's going to be very adventurous. We are also going to see later in the month, Mars will join in. So there's going to be new cycles starting for you when it comes to relationships. Some of you might meet very prominent relationships. Some of you might meet very prominent business partnerships. Jupiter is natally the ruler of your 3rd house as well as your 6th. So it makes me feel like you're communicating more, you're sharing more, you're aligning with something that feels like it has purpose, and just the right people are coming into your life to be able to facilitate that. Now, also, we're going to see Mercury turns retrograde in Gemini, and this will be happening on the 10th as well. And that will be taking place in your natal 9th house. So there is an opportunity to rethink the bigger picture, rethink what your beliefs are, where you're going, where you're traveling. If you are traveling, watch for some of those hiccups when it comes to travel in general. You may feel it a little bit sooner. Double and triple check any bookings or anything like that, because there could be flights that change, or also issues with courses, classes, and scheduling changes. For the most part, though, I think you're dipping further into your intuition and really reflecting on what you believe in and where you see your life going. On the 13th of the month, the sun will conjunct with the North Node in Taurus in your 8th house, highlighting the opportunity to reach a financial goal. Something is coming to fruition. You didn't see it coming. It might be a friend that helps you out and funds something. It might be that you get a bonus and you realize your worth and that you are worth more, and you start bringing more in. Tax and accounting or financial things can be a theme with this as well. So I would just say with all the 8th house energies, it's all about change and transformation. Other people's money. So it can also be a business partner's resources, a spouse's resources, or somebody who is investing in you or your ideas. On the 15th of the month, we see a lunar eclipse taking place in Scorpio. It's in your 2nd house. It's a south node eclipse, so there might be a need to let go of something, let go of possessions, start decluttering, be willing to part with things, sell things, and just your sense of materialism is shifting. Maybe you're adopting more of like a minimalist mentality. Maybe you're just really ready to release and let go. There can be dietary changes in how you're spending money here as well. Because it's got a square to Saturn, it tells me to be mindful with your investments, especially when it comes to stocks or gambling in general, because there could be losses if you're not careful. On the 19th of the month, we're going to see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto, and that is releasing and letting something go. We're seeing this happen in the 4th and the 8th house. So the 4th is family. It's also endings. The 8th house is transformation. So there can be a sense of letting something in the house go, letting a home go, letting a family member go, letting the past go. And not carrying it with you into the future. It's empowering. It's going to really help you put something to rest, and be able to look ahead with a clear vision and no longer be looking in like the rearview mirror. On the 21st of the month, we're going to see the sun come into a conjunction with Mercury, and it's going to form a cazimi. And this will be happening in Gemini, and it's in your natal 9th house. So perhaps this is about you hearing from a mentor, or perhaps you're getting you're having some epiphany about something you believe in. Maybe you find the right teacher or the right course. Maybe there's some sense of changing course or a shift when it comes to where you may be moving to. It's like a second option presents itself. I would say that the Mercury Cazimi here makes me feel like you might be hearing from somebody at a distance, or there is a sense of like really aligning with a goal, and also just your beliefs in general. There can be a sense of you returning back somewhere. So you might go and visit a place that you've been to before, or you're planning on doing that. And then with Mars going into conjunction with Jupiter in Aries on the 29th, you're going to find that your relationships are just action-packed. Mars rules Aries. It's in your 7th house, which is a angular house, so it's going to be quite active, similar to Aries and also Cancer. But this is about taking action with other people, jumping into relationships, starting new things, talking to new people. If you're single, there's going to be a lot of action in this part of your life. If you're partnered, traveling with a partner, and just a lot of adventure with your significant other can be on the horizon. Quite active, very busy time, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Let's take a look and see what the cards say for you. All right, so for Libra, we get, oh, that sounds about right, the Knight of Swords. So, you know, this makes me feel like you're going somewhere very quickly. Information is coming in very quickly. Excuse me. The opportunity to have, you know, quick getaways. There's a lot of back and forth on the phone, you know, picking up emails and all kinds of stuff. This can be an air sign also that rushes in very quickly and wants to give you some kind of news. To me, it looks like between like the retrograde and a sister sign, and also some of the conjunctions in the 8th house, you're having to think on your feet and be mindful of how you respond to things, how you communicate with things. Sometimes the night comes in and it can like rush things, or it can feel really mentally frazzled. But this can also be talking about planning, strategizing where you're going, how you're going to get there. So you're fired up, especially when it comes to communication, and really developing these ideas for, you know, where you're going in life. So look for an air sign that might help you be mindful when it comes through going through contracts or signing agreements, and not leaping before you look, okay? All right. So for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, welcome to May of 2022. You have got the month kicking off with the Sun in conjunction to Uranus in your 7th house. Wow. So there's a lot changing suddenly in regards to relationships and partnerships. The Sun is the ruler of your natal 10th house, and Uranus is the ruler of your 4th house. This is going to be a month where you're going to just be feeling everything kind of pressuring down on you. So just take it easy, take a deep breath. Sun conjunct Uranus in your 7th might have like a sudden person pop into your life out of the blue. It can be a partnership is kind of wonky. A partner is acting a little intensely, or they're acting a little differently. They're rebelling in some way. Equally, it can be just a very adventurous time with somebody new who enters into your life. So a relationship takes off very quickly. And the Sun rules your 10th house, so it can also be new work changes for you and a partner. Maybe you're working with a new partner. Maybe you and a romantic partner or a spouse are going into business together. Somehow you're learning to put your heads together and actually create change and keep things exciting. On the 10th of the month, we are going to see that Jupiter enters into Aries. It goes into your 6th house, and this is about you really committing yourself to a cause. You are all about new health and wellness, a new schedule, a new routine, but there may be a sense for you all month long to be of service. Be mindful of that, and also be taking a look at your health. Now, Jupiter going into your 6th house promises to give you help if you need it. So if you need a trainer, if you need a dietitian, if you need a doctor, if you need someone to train your animals, if you need someone to clean your house, or if you need to hire an assistant, any of these people could show up, and they could show up very quickly. This same day, Mercury turns retrograde in Gemini. So it's going retrograde in your 8th house. It's sextiling this action in Aries. So maybe there's an opportunity for you to heal something, for you to look deeper into a health issue. Maybe perhaps there is a secret or a financial secret that is uncovered. Mercury going retrograde in your 8th. There is going to be some possible changes going on with somebody else's resources. So you may find that somebody's like who you're in a relationship with rebudgeting. They're going through some financial kind of stress. It could also be equally that a form of income that was coming in suddenly kind of gets stifled a little bit. There can be tax issues, there can be insurance issues, especially when it comes to insurance getting paid off. So just be mindful that that's going to get worked out all month long. On the 13th of the month, we're going to see the sun come into conjunction with the North Node, and that is going to be in Taurus in your 7th house, highlighting really prominent relationships and people coming into your life. This is the theme for you, Scorpio, because the eclipses are also happening in your 7th house. So you're having to learn how to partner with people. You're having to learn how to identify important relationships. And there's a lot of you being of service to others who might need your support. The sun and the North Node are shining a light on where you need to stand up and really focus on relationship maturity and taking charge of what you're passionate about or who you may really love. On the 15th, then, we are going to see a lunar eclipse taking place in Scorpio. So it's in your sign, it's in your 1st house. You are detaching and letting go of an old identity. Perhaps, you know, you're really moving into a new business partnership or a romantic relationship, which requires you to kind of take your armor off, lay your weapons down, you know? And I think it's nice because there is a sense of selflessness that comes with this eclipse. It's also trining Jupiter and Neptune. It's making positive aspects to your 5th house. And maybe you're willing to be a little bit more vulnerable and talk about what you really love. Tell somebody how you're really feeling, open up about childhood issues, and possibly even be open to talking about having a family or having a child. On the 19th of the month, we see the sun come into a trine with Pluto. So the sun's in your 7th house. It's trining Pluto in your 3rd. Pluto is the ruler of your chart. So it looks like a partner is talking to you about something important, something they're very passionate about. And it's a very deep, profound conversation about the future and where the two of you guys are going together. This is giving you the opportunity to change and transform not only the way that you communicate, but the way that you see or talk about relationships. There's a lot of power that can come from working with another person. On the 21st of the month, we are going to see that the sun comes into a cazimi with Mercury in Gemini. So this is prominent because likely there is going to be an epiphany about resources, about money. There's a lot of you talking to a partner about this. You're finally kind of seeing the missing information that was kind of happening earlier in the month when it comes to resources. You're clearing that up, and likely it's going to be positive, and you're like taking charge of a financial situation. There can be secrets also that are exposed this day, so watch for that. And last but not least, Mars comes into conjunction with Jupiter in Aries, and this is going to be happening in your natal 6th house. This is important because Mars rules your chart. So when Mars meets with Jupiter, you see the opportunity to jump in, lend a helping hand some way financially or just in a sense of your services. Now, you may be able to teach or assist or help other people with your knowledge. There is also a sense of you bettering your health, bettering how you're feeling, your schedule, as well as what you're eating, because it is the ruler of your 2nd house, Jupiter. New schedules are on the way. Likely you're really devoting yourself to a cause, taking care of something that is really important to you. And it'll make sense because as you get to the end of the month, you're just going to feel very drawn to some kind of integration of giving back when it comes to your schedule and helping someone or something that's in need. All right, so let's take a look and see what the cards say for you for the month ahead. Ooh, the Emperor. So it's really talking about Mars, huh? So, you know, this is Aries energy, right? So it's kind of saying like you're going to be the boss this month. You're bossing up. There's a lot of responsibility. Jupiter and Mars in your 6th is rising to the occasion, being of service, watching all of these aspects play out, including the sun in your 7th, which is like really handling something, really showing a partner that you can handle it, that you are somebody they can count on, that you are going to be a support system, and that you know what it means to actually physically and energetically show up and be a good partner. Business, romantic, friend, it doesn't matter. There can be themes involving father figures, okay? So your father, your grandfather, your spouse's father, something like this, men that are in charge, fatherhood. Some of you guys might be finding out, oh, I'm going to have a kid, you know, all this responsibility, I got to get things together. Something like this is coming up, and I feel like you're able to rise to the occasion because we do see Mars very well aspected, and even though Aries quincunx is Scorpio, I think that if there is some kind of like growing pain that comes up, it's really helping you change and transform your identity. So you're going to handle it like a boss. You've got it. All right, so next we have got Sag and Sag rising. Welcome to May of 2022. Hopefully you're doing well, Sag. The month kicks off with the sun in conjunction to Uranus, and that is taking place on the 5th, and this will be happening in your natal 6th house. Watch for scheduling changes. Watch for the need to change and shift travel plans, change and shift something about how you're working, where you're working. There can be some scheduling errors and also possibly any changes in regards to your health, right? Your nervous system might be a little taxed. You might be switching up your physical workout routine or your dietary routine. And I feel like there's a need to adjust your schedule so it makes more time for you to be able to travel or be able to go on vacation. So that's coming up for you as well. It could be sudden. So you could be like, I got to call in sick to work, or I got to get my shift covered because I'm going somewhere. On the 10th, we see Jupiter ingress into Aries. Ooh, this is your chart ruler. It's going into your 5th house of romance, creativity, having fun. Jupiter here can definitely have us falling in love, having a good time, and it feels like calling in sick to work and going to Disneyland. There will be a whole year ahead of just more positivity for you personally in your life, in your love life, with your children, with your creative projects, with dating. There can be a sense of just wanting to party and have a good time. Really feeling yourself, feeling that optimism kind of coming back and allowing yourself to express yourself authentically. So I'm loving it. I feel like those of you guys who are looking for love and romance, it's on the way all summer long. Those of you guys who are looking to start your own business, turn a hobby into a real hustle, or get pregnant, Jupiter in this house will do that, as will Mars later in the month. So things heat up very, very quickly. Now, on the 13th of the month, we see the sun in Taurus come into a conjunction with the North Node in Taurus in the 6th house, highlighting where it really benefits you to make changes to your health and the bigger picture when it comes to being of service, to changing your schedule, to how you can provide a better service to the world in general. It might include you teaching something or having to travel somewhere to do a workshop or maybe a seminar. That's possible as well. Then on the 15th of the month, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Now, this is a big one. It's taking place in your 12th house, and it's opposing the sun in your 6th. Perhaps you're letting go of old traumas, fears, obsessions, bad habits, anything that's scary or anything that prompts you to have some kind of self-undoing, right? And how that actually affects your schedule, how it affects your diet, how it affects your routine. So an eclipse happening in your 12th house can feel like sometimes the world is crashing down. There can be this sudden re-triggering of trauma. I would say be mindful that it can come out of nowhere. It can be prompted by a dream. It could be prompted by you just having flashbacks. Meditation, adequate rest, hypnosis, healing, going and working with a spiritual practitioner or somebody who does shamanic work can really help work this stuff out of your subconscious and clear it so you're not continuing patterns. And some of you guys may have bad habits, eating habits, drug habits, lifestyle habits that are stemming from undealt with psychological trauma, stuff that is suppressed, right? Now on the 19th, we're going to see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto. So the sun will be in your natal 2nd house. The sun will be in your natal 6th house, and it's trining Pluto in your 2nd. Makes me wonder if you're like uncovering where you work too much, eat too much, spend too much as a means of like dealing with trauma. So there can be a sense of like having these habits come out subconsciously with how you're eating, how you're working, how you're doing with your day-to-day, how you're spending money, and you're realizing like, whoa, those are connected. And I have a feeling that the sun being in your 6th, highlighting it, is like showing you healthier ways to express that energy, and where perhaps maybe you're investing a little bit more energy or resources or money into newer techniques, right? So like getting a gym membership. It might be that you decide that you want to invest in talking to a dietitian, that you start an herbal, supplement, something like that. That's natural, and it's going to help you feel more so grounded. Now on the 21st of the month, we see a Sun-Mercury cazimi. So this will be the sun coming into conjunction with Mercury in your 7th house of relationships. Mercury is also retrograde, so you may be hearing from people from the past. They're creeping on social media, they're calling you. If you've been at odds with somebody, if you haven't been communicating well with somebody, they may return in some capacity, so watch for that. Now, I would say that the Cazimi, because it is including the ruler of both your 7th and your 10th house, it could be about information coming to light about a relationship with a business partner that you were not aware of, an insightful conversation, a document, something like that. But it can also be that you're having to have a sit-down conversation with somebody you're involved with romantically and really determining what is the future of this relationship. Where are we going? Are we in love with each other? Are we not? Are we ready for commitment? Are we not? Especially because it's all funneling into all of the transits that are happening in your 5th house, which deals with true love. So conversations about commitment, signing documents, moving, whether or not you love each other, whether or not you're ready for something more, if you're ready to get married, or if you're ready to commit or start a family. Then finally, on the 29th of the month, Mars moves into Aries. It conjuncts Jupiter. It's in your 5th house. It's go time. Some of you guys are like, yes, I'm in love. Let's get engaged. Yes, I want to start a family. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Things move very quickly. And you're going to find that when these planets all collide in your 5th house, it's to better support bringing you more happiness, also in collaboration with partnerships or somebody who's going to make you feel more so supported, right? I'm loving this energy for you, Sag. I think it's really good. I think it's going to give you the opportunity to not only meet somebody that you really connect with, but be able to go the distance. For those of you guys who are already partnered, it'll probably materialize as taking a step further, talking about committing serious conversations, or maybe even moving in together. That's another thing that I could see. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Sag, for the month ahead and what might be coming. Oh my gosh, cards are jumping out. What is this card? Okay, oof. So I got the 8 of Cups. How does this relate? You know, how does the 8 of Cups, it's, are we doing this or am I moving on? You know, and it makes sense with a retrograde in your 7th. It might be a realization that you have already moved on, but somebody comes back around. You might be finally moving on and being ready to open up your heart to somebody new. There may be a sense of you feeling like you can't keep going back to the past. You have to focus on the future, that you're not repeating past patterns. Generally, the next card that comes, the 9 of Cups, is a positive card because it's like, you're like, oh, I'm so glad that I did this because look at everything that I have. So there can be a bit of like a bittersweetness of reflecting on the past while moving into the future. At the beginning of the month, Jupiter is still hanging out in your 4th house. So there is a lot of reflecting on the past and thinking about it before you ultimately move forward into what will be happier, healthier, more abundant times. Don't look back. You're not going back there. It's important for you to keep your face looking forward and realize that you can't be afraid of the past repeating itself. You can't. If you're doing that, you're living yourself like your life in limbo and you're not really allowing yourself to receive all of the goodies that are coming, okay? For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, welcome to May of 2022. Hope you're doing well. Oh my goodness, Sun is conjunct Uranus in your 5th house. Some of my Cappies are going to be telling everybody that they are pregnant. Some of my Cappies are realizing that they are investing in creative opportunities. They're investing in the stock market. They're taking chances with their resources. They're taking risks. They're being more self-expressive. Dating gets interesting. Children get a little rebellious. But for the most part, I think that the Sun in conjunction to Uranus in your 5th is a sense of really focusing on authenticity and being able to have a good time and celebrate. Now, then on the 10th of the month, Jupiter in Aries is coming in hot. It's going to be hanging out in your natal 4th house. Are you expanding your home? Are you visiting family from a foreign place? Are they visiting you? Jupiter going into your 4th house is going to expand your home zone, your family, and you are really focused on creating more room, more space, and also maybe even having your own space, maybe buying your first house. Maybe it's going to be getting your own room. Who knows? It really depends on your living situation. But when Jupiter is in Aries, you experience a little bit of growing pains because it's going to be squaring your personal planet. So you may need to expand the home to fit whatever it is that you're doing personally. Jupiter also rules your 12th house. So I could see wanting to integrate more feng shui, personal or spiritual style, maybe having a meditation room, an altar, something that's going to help you kind of keep the faith within your home and keep the vibes up. On the same day, Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house. So reorganization between the energy of Jupiter in your 4th and Mercury retrograde in your 6th. I'm wondering, are you hiring somebody to come in to help you organize? Are you decluttering? Are you having a garage sale? Is there a need for you to get stuff out of the house to create the feeling of more space, right? Do you need to go to the container store and get a bunch of containers and labels and things so that way things are better organized? Because I can see you need more space in your home, so consider that when that retrograde starts. Be mindful though that I feel like if you are expanding your home or moving into a new home, it's going to need some work and you might need to hire somebody, and make sure you hire somebody good, especially if they're doing anything with their hands, if they're painting, if they're spackling. Make sure that you're getting somebody who knows what they're doing so they don't do a shoddy job. Okay, trust me on this. On the 15th of the month, we're going to see that there will be a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and this is taking place in your 11th house. So perhaps maybe there's so many new things going on in your 5th house in regards to your love life, children, creativity. There's like this breaking off with certain friends, and there can be a sense of letting a certain friend go when the eclipse takes place in your 5th house. Excuse me, in your 11th house, in opposition to the sun in your 5th house. I think that the closing eclipse can also bring about celebrations, parties, get-togethers where you're seeing friends you have not seen before or for some time. There's a possibility that you are completing some kind of a goal. I like the fact that it's going to be trining Neptune. I feel like it's about you really tuning in personally to anything and everything that's about being able to communicate and express your goals. It's like, oh, I did this, sharing it with my friends, posting it on social media. Maybe there's some like really big news that you're posting and you're telling everybody. It could play out that way as well. But I would say that the lunar eclipse can bring some drama with friendships. You want to watch for that. That is very possible. It's likely. And if you need to cut a friend, you'll know what to do. On the 19th, we see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto in your sign. So we've got the sun in the 5th house of joy, creativity, children, trining Pluto in the 1st house. Are you telling people about your creative accomplishments? Are you boasting about this new project that you launched or this new business that you launched? Are you pregnant and telling everybody that you're changing and transforming and you're maturing in some way? For some Cap risings, that's what's going to happen. And you're seeing your body change and transform. Regardless, you're coming into your personal power. You're feeling very creative and expressive, and there is a sense of you being very enthusiastic about this change. On the 21st of the month, we're going to see that there is going to be a Sun-Mercury cazimi. This is taking place in your 6th house. You do need to watch your health, Capricorn. This is very important. Trust me on this. Really hear me when I tell you this, okay? Because it is aligning in your 6th house with the sun, right? Which is going to be the ruler of your 8th. There can be things in regards to your reproductive health, things in regards to surgical procedures. There can possibly be like an illness or something that you did not see coming. There can be a need to detox or cleanse something. Really watch your health when Mercury goes retrograde in your 6th. And I would just say you can be finding something out. You can get test results as well. So there can be some testing that can come back on this day and really highlighting whether or not something is kosher. Last but not least, on the 29th, you're going to see Mars and Jupiter align in the sign of Aries. And this is taking place in your natal 4th house. So you are really active. You're either moving, you're adamant about expanding your home. Mars in your 4th house is going to have you tearing down walls, reorganizing things, stripping wallpaper, or fighting with your family. Be mindful of wars and conflict that can be started at home, rubbing, roommates or spouses the wrong way, kind of getting into it with people. It's definitely not something that you want to be doing. If you are planning on demoing a house or moving house or changing homes, it's perfect. Be careful around family and anything in regards to just aggression or conflict with men. And especially at home, if you're dealing with like rewiring or anything in regards to heat, electricity, fire, be very careful, especially in the kitchen. There can be stuff like that going on there as well. So let's take a look at what the cards have to say for the month ahead for you, Capricorn, and what you may anticipate. Ooh, High Priestess. So, I mean, Jupiter in the 4th can make you super intuitive. I guess that's something I didn't say, but because it's got like a Cancer moon vibe, it's learning to tune into your natural instincts, especially when it comes to how to run your home or what you're intuitively seeing coming, and also kind of touching on the past. This tells me that you benefit by being patient, waiting for the answers to come to you, listening to your intuition, paying attention to your dreams. There can be a sense of you being given some psychic prediction. Maybe you get a reading this month. Maybe you are pulling tarot cards and you're just feeling really tapped in and you know what's coming, and it's important to listen to that and like actually be paying attention to your intuition when it comes to matters of the home, family, or just the emotional waters in general. She receives, she doesn't move. You know, she's there waiting and waiting to receive the information, sitting between the two pillars of the light and the dark. So you may feel like there are moments where you want to say something, but you don't. You want to share something with family, but you don't. You're feeling it out and you're waiting for the appropriate time. So watch for that. Next, we've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. Well, this is Sun and Uranus meeting in your natal 4th house. Oh boy. There is change going on big time with a relationship, a partner, and your home. There is some probably chaos going on where you need to take more responsibility for what's going on at home. Maybe you and a partner are at odds about a domestic matter or what's going on within the home zone. It's very important that you tread lightly. These transits for all the fixed signs this month are quite intense, and likely if you're pushing buttons, you might be going your own way and moving out. And having a bit of a disagreement with somebody who you live with, a family member or a spouse. When this happens, you might decide, that's it, I'm out, I'm moving, or I can't stay here, or it's time for me to get my own space. So watch out on that day. On the 10th, we've got Jupiter in Aries, and that ingress is happening in your 3rd house. Now, Jupiter is going to be there off and on for about a year. This expands the ability for you to go on short distance trips, maybe get a new car. You're thinking more positively, you're communicating more optimistically. Maybe you're willing to move out on your own or just learn something new, learn a new language, you know, maybe pick up a new gadget. The same day, we're going to see that Mercury will turn retrograde in Gemini in your 5th. And it makes me wonder if you are communicating with lovers or romantic people from the past, if you're rethinking what you love, if you're in love with someone or something. There can be important decisions in regards to the heart. So with dating, with children, things like that that are taking place with the Mercury retrograde in your 5th. Now, it's in a sister sign, so it's going to make positive aspects to your ascendant, so it's going to allow you to communicate better. These are social signs. On the 13th of the month, we are going to see the Sun come into conjunction with the North Node, and that is going to be in Taurus. Now, this is happening in your 4th house. Once again, lots of emphasis on the home. Sun North Node is dealing with the power of home, is a family member, is a parent, is a partner being really dominant about the home and control of the home, wanting things their way, wanting to take something, take property, take ownership of something, or just be really demanding. This is a time to let certain situations kind of dissolve, and it can also be a time where you realize that you can't have too much strife in the home. That's the feeling that I'm getting. If that's going on, you're going to feel like you're over it, you're burnt out and dealing with power struggles with home or family. You could also be trying to figure out where you're meant to go, where you're meant to live, what land you're meant to buy, or what city you're meant to live in. Then on the 15th, we see a lunar eclipse happening in Scorpio. That's in your natal 10th house. It's in hard aspect to Saturn on your ascendant. You've got change going on with your home and family. You're feeling like you might be burnt out and ready to walk away from a responsibility. Okay, it could be a job. It could be taking care of a parent. It could be your responsibilities as a parent. It could be you feeling like it's time for you to step down and retire or walk away from one area of business because you're exhausted. I do see with eclipses here that people are like, you know what, I got to take a break from work. You know, I'm under the weather. I have so much responsibility at home, or maybe you're dealing with a physical issue or like I think it's a physical problem perhaps, or a physical limitation, whether it's with your body or something that you have to take care of that makes it challenging for you to work. So watch out for that. Take it easy. Know that if a job's meant to close out or end, likely it happens with these eclipses. Now, then on the 19th, we see the sun in Taurus come into a trine with Pluto, and that is in Capricorn in your 12th house. These are water houses. We see endings, we see rest, we see letting go and releasing. So with the sun in your 4th house, trining Pluto in the 12th, is there a letting go? Letting go of a family member, letting go of a home, saying goodbye to somewhere you've lived for a while, seeing a departure with a relative. That can happen. We can see that family members can transition with some of these trines between the 4th and the 12th house. Traditionally, the 4th house is associated with burial. So the 12th house can be about healing centers, rest, hospitals. If there's somebody who's been under the weather, not doing well, it's important to keep an eye on them, because this can be the theme that I'm seeing, unfortunately. Then on the 21st of the month, we're going to see that there will be a Sun-Mercury cazimi in the 5th. It looks like if you have children, children are very supportive of what's going on. They show up, they help you. Maybe they're willing to step in and help organize things. Maybe you have the support of a loved one, a lover, or a romantic partner as well. The Sun-Mercury makes me feel like you're going to feel like very supported. Like even though you're going through a difficult time, you're going to realize that you have family, or you have somebody who loves you, who's there to help support you. The 5th house is the love that you receive. So it's about remaining open, allowing people to love you, allowing them to support you, especially if you have younger people in your life. Last but not least, we have on the 29th, Mars comes into Mars comes into conjunction with Jupiter in the sign of Aries, and that's going to be in your 3rd house. Movement, communications, cars, vehicles. I get the impression that this makes me feel like you're having to go on a short trip. You're having to make a lot of phone calls. You realize you got to make a change. You got to make a change quickly. It's positive. It's optimistic. So maybe somebody's coming into town to help you. Maybe you're going to visit somebody to help them. There can be a sense of very quickly needing a new vehicle, updating a gadget. So that's another way that I could look at this. Stay open though, because I feel like this is going to be about positive communication, even though it's going to come at you very quickly. There is an ability for you to problem solve, and I think be more optimistic with some of the changes, even if it is a move that you're having to deal with. Last but not least, we have Pisces. Oh, wait, I have the card for you. Aquarius, there you go. The Hierophant, I just pulled this. This is about responsibility. So, you know, like I said, it feels like the world is on your shoulders. So if you're like feeling responsible for taking care of family, taking care of loved ones, a partner, this is kind of like you feeling like, okay, I have to do what's right. I have to do what's expected of me. There is a sense of responsibility. There is a sense of me having to fulfill my obligation, my agreement. This is a card that deals with society. This is a card that also deals with Taurus. So it's talking about the 4th house for you. So it's like, well, I'm a husband, so this is what I have to do. Or I'm a father, so this is what I have to do. Filling that title, right? Like doing everything that comes along with that. Be mindful that you need assistance too. So it might be helpful to have somebody you can lean on, talking to a mentor, talking to a therapist, talking to somebody who can give you some kind of guidance. This can be a professional. So it's sometimes somebody to help you with an estate. Sometimes it's going to be a priest. Other times it's going to be, you know, a lawyer. So it's a professional or somebody who can help guide you and remind you of what your responsibilities are and how to better navigate them. Okay. Thank you, Aquarius. I appreciate that. Last but not least, we have Pisces and Pisces rising. So welcome to May of 2022. I hope you're doing well. Well, the sun comes into conjunction with Uranus, and that will be happening in your 3rd house. This is on the 5th of May. This is most likely going to be some very insightful conversations. Perhaps maybe there's a secret that you become aware of. Maybe you finally admit to a fear that you've been having. Maybe you overcome a fear of talking about something or going somewhere or traveling. It's about communicating and expressing change. When the sun conjuncts Uranus, I get the impression that it's very possible that you're having to finally just deal with something that's been on your mind, or maybe you're taking a shot and trying to have a conversation with somebody, even though it seems like they may not be so open to communicating with you. And you're like, well, let me see if they're willing to kind of open that door. You might need to meditate before having this conversation and really think it through, because things can be a little unexpected. Sun Uranus in the 3rd is also like unexpected conversations, communications, meetings, things that catch you off guard. Be mindful when you're traveling, okay? You can get documents pertaining to like insurance, vehicle insurance, dealing with insurance, settlements and things like that. Look for unexpected letters in the mail as well pertaining to vehicles, or perhaps maybe even a lease. That can happen also. On the 10th of the month, we're going to see Jupiter enter into Aries, going into your second house. Jupiter is your co-ruler next to Neptune. So Jupiter going into your second house has more spending power, more resources coming in. Suddenly you might see a nice little bump in your income, and it might be money that you earned. So you've been working really hard to bring that in. That'll hang out for about a year off and on. So you're going to see that continue into next spring. Now, we're also going to see the same day, Mercury turns retrograde in Gemini. Ooh, Pisces, this is the ruler of your fourth house. So it's like money comes in, and then you're like, do I buy a house? Do I put it into a home? Do I move? So there is a sense of maybe juggling back and forth and trying to decide, do you want to live from two places? Do you want to move to a new place? Are you burnt out? Is it time to go to a new city? So there is some sense of reevaluating resources and also where you're living. That Mercury retrograde makes me feel inclined to tell you that be careful with moving, like try to stay flexible. Signing a lease or making a big move during that period is going to be a little challenging, and likely you might move a couple times. Definitely read a lease fully, and if you're going to be buying property, make sure you have it thoroughly inspected. You might go back and forth between two though. Then on the 13th of the month, we're going to see the sun come into conjunction with the North Node, and this is in your third house. So there is a sense of needing to focus on how you communicate. The sun is really highlighting in thinking differently, communicating differently. You may be on the move. You might be feeling like going and taking a walk out in nature. You might start the process of writing something, or just writing more routinely, or journaling. Maybe there is a focus on picking up a new book or learning something new. The sun in the North Node will activate in the third house, and that can also bring about important conversations that you're having with people about your resources or about your values. On the 15th of the month, we're going to see that there is a lunar eclipse taking place in a sister sign, which is Scorpio. This will be happening in your 9th house, and it's a south node eclipse. Now, even though it's going to trine Jupiter and Neptune in your sign, which I think is giving a lot of grace, especially when it's about letting go of an old belief system and adopting a new one, I think that still Scorpio eclipses can be a little rattling. So if you're traveling, if you're going somewhere international, if you're flying, there can be some unexpected hiccups and problems with you traveling on these dates. Look for legal issues as well. That can happen as well. That south node eclipse is rather strong because it's squaring Saturn, which is in your 9th house, and it would be things that you do not, Saturn in your 12th house. So it's squaring from the 9th to your 12th. It could be things that you don't see coming. So when it comes to traveling, anything in regards to being in a foreign place, being in hidden spaces, just be mindful that there can just be some bumps when it comes to places that you're going. Your belief system is changing, your direction in life is changing, and you're letting go of something that you used to believe in. This can also be completions of higher education, or getting ready to launch something that you've been teaching, or getting ready to complete a program that you have been going through in terms of education. On the 19th of the month, the sun in Taurus comes into a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So the sun's hanging out in your natal third house. It's trining Pluto in your 11th. It looks like you're going to have a wonderful pep talk and inspiring conversation with somebody, either online or maybe talking to a sibling or talking to a friend about your goals. There is a sense of like it probably involving where you're going with your finances or where you're going with your business. I feel like it can be really inspiring because there can be somebody that you're looking up to who's a friend who's like doing the kind of work you want to do. And you're like, how did you do that? Let's talk about it. Can you show me? And they're very insightful, and they give you a lot of really valuable information for how to do some of the same stuff in your own life, especially if it deals with marketing, promoting yourself, social media, blogs, podcasting. Then on the 21st of the month, we see a Sun-Mercury cazimi. Now, this is going to be happening in your natal 4th house. So this is all going to be about information coming from family, okay? So for you Pisces, there's a possibility that there is a very unexpected change or twist when it comes to scheduling and moving. Maybe perhaps you need to be there to help support a family member. A family member is having some issue with their home, or maybe they need some assistance with moving. Maybe a family member is experiencing a health issue and you need to go and be there to support them. So that might actually bring you back home. It might kind of put a kink in some of your relocation or travel plans. Last but not least, we also have the Mars and Jupiter conjunction happening in Aries in your natal 2nd house. That is spending power, baby. There is money coming in. You've got more resources than usual. You are feeling like you're getting your groove back. You're feeling like your self-esteem is full steam ahead. There is a sense of you really feeling like you have money to work with. Because Jupiter is your chart ruler and Mars rules your natal 2nd, there is a sense of you feeling like, yes, I am worth this. This is what I am worth. This is what I have worked really hard for. I earned it. You might buy something nice. Watch for impulse spending, though. There could be some big budget things that you're picking up, and it's just important for you to really be sure that that's what you want to be investing in. The card that I got for you is the Queen of Pentacles, money. So it's looking like finally everything is coming together. You know, you're feeling very valued, you're feeling very strong financially, you're feeling very grounded. There is a sense of you kind of being like, yes, this is what I worked really hard for. I've made it. And reaching financial goals or feeling like you have enough money or spending power that you have freedom, and so you can kind of feel more so grounded and kind of calm and collected and not so stressed out about whatever has been going on for you financially. You feel solid. There could be an earth sign woman who comes into your life that helps you with this. So look for like a Virgo or a Capricorn or a Taurus. One of these people can come in. It can be an older woman as well who might invest in you, give you some insight, or help you with the process of reaching this financial goal. All right, you guys, I am hoping that this month is as abundant and exciting as it looks to be for everyone. Be mindful, like I said, with these ingresses, with the Mercury retrograde, with the eclipse. Things are changing in a very big way, but it's all setting us up really for June and July, and to help us get to the next steps of completing these new goals that we have kind of set forth this month. Let me know, where are these transits happening for you? The eclipses, the retrogrades, how are you guys feeling these energies? Stay tuned. I do have a Mercury retrograde in Gemini video coming soon. We're going to talk all about that and some insights into it and some tips and some tricks, and where I feel like this is a very powerful and insightful retrograde. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Leave me a comment. I would appreciate it. I sometimes comment back. I love hearing and interacting with you guys. Please enjoy the month of May, and I will see all of you guys again in June. Take care.